ज्योति स्टेनो टाइपिंग कॉलेज में आप सभी का स्वागत है बच्चों। कैसे हैं आप सब? उम्मीद करता हूँ अच्छे होंगे। 15-16 फरवरी का आपका एग्ज़ाम है। जिन बच्चों ने जैसे अभी तैयारी करनी स्टार्ट की थी, तो ये जो डिक्टेशन है इसको आप जैसे पहले एज ए अनसीन लिखें, फिर उसको फिर सीन की तरह देख लें। और जो है आज जो डिक्टेशन होंगी आपकी 3 डिक्टेशन होंगी। तो ये जो डिक्टेशंस है इसमें टोटल वर्ड्स जो हैं आपके 1660 हैं। तो यानी कि 179 और 180 के सी डिक्टेशन दोनों इकट्ठी हैं। ऐसी 2 डिक्टेशन बोली जाएंगी, फिर जो है उसके बाद फाइनल एक बोलेंगे 800 वर्ड होगी। इस सभी को लिखनी है निशु, ये लिखनी है जितनी भी आती तेरे को। इसी में लिख लेना, इसी रजिस्टर में। इस रजिस्टर में क्या दिक्कत है? Dictation start after 5 seconds. Our greatest anxiety, sir, came with the scarcity of food. This was the biggest threat to the country. For months together, the nation tightened its belt. There were acute shortages. One state came to the rescue of the other. The government of India tried to come to the rescue of all the states wherever it could and wherever the need was the greatest. The position has fortunately eased considerably now, and we expect that the future holds promise of one of our best crops. A long-term policy has been adopted. The Agricultural Prices Commission and the Food Corporation have been set up, and these will be able to help in the stabilization of prices, ensuring proper marketing conditions and building up of stocks. It is, however, an unfortunate fact, sir, that anti-social trends in the trading community have been present throughout this crisis. Government must therefore continue to remain vigilant, and buffer stocks must be built up so that long-term stability in agricultural prices may be achieved. India is still very much an agricultural country despite its efforts to industrialize itself in various directions of trade and industry. In order to fully develop agriculture itself, a great deal has to be done. We have to ensure a proper supply of fertilizers in time. We have to ensure a proper irrigation facilities and good seeds. These, sir, are the minimum requirements of our peasants. Actually, we have also to prepare our peasants and to educate them and to persuade them to accept new methods of agriculture. The community development movement is directed towards this goal, and the cooperative movement is the economic unit to reach it. On the political side, sir, decentralization through Panchayati Raj is being achieved rapidly. We are taking the risk of making mistakes in pursuance of the ideal that the participation of the people in the government is necessary. Development in the economic sphere can only come with rapid industrialization. Production has gone up in many public sector undertaking, and in the current year we have been told that there will be an increase of 8% in industrial production. The national income has risen, but the impact cannot be felt because of the rapid rise in prices. Consumer goods have become easily available, but the demand for them has risen in the rural areas to a great extent. Madam, our housing problem continues to be acute. There is a pressing need for more houses, for more building materials, and it is absolutely necessary that this problem should be tackled on a high priority basis. Ugly towns, narrow streets, slums from our cities, and hovels from our villages have to be cleared, and we should provide houses in which decent conditions of life are possible. Madam, we are now engaged in the formulation of the 12th five-year plan. We have to ensure that each citizen of our country is guaranteed a decent minimum standard of life. Our social services must have one prime object: the abolition of want. Relief of distress and elimination of squalor must remain the main object of social expenditure, and special assistance must be given to any part of the community that is in need of it. Unemployment, pauperism, old age, and lack of social amenities have to be dealt with. The first priority, madam, in any socialist country must be given to the poor, to the unfortunate, and the have-nots. The community should be asked to give a helping hand in this great task of reconstruction. But in a country as backward and poor as ours, it is necessary for the government to provide the basic amenities that will raise the general status and standard of life. I plead for more investment in the human being, bigger wages, better conditions of life, and the availability of basic necessities to all. It is only when these are available that we can expect a better response from the people. Madam, if people have to rise to the occasion, ignorance has to be dispelled. The pattern of education has to be finalized, and a thorough overhaul of the whole of our educational system has to be made. We have been told that an education commission has already been appointed, and we know that it is carrying on its work. I merely wish to point out that we can ill afford to lose time, and early steps should be taken to start this great reform. Therefore, madam, the urgent necessities of the country at the moment are speedy and efficient plan of both agricultural and industrial development without neglecting the social services, which are the only means of making the life of the common man worth living. In the industrial sector, it is realized that the time has come for a fresh momentum. Various measures for this have been taken. Again, government has announced concessions for unaccounted and undisclosed money, provided it is voluntarily surrendered and we have been given a revised structure of taxes. The Planning Commission, as far back as April 1982, nearly 40 years ago, emphasized the need to make a thorough investigation into this question of developing agro industries and not merely make an investigation but also suggest various measures which should be undertaken immediately for the purpose of developing our rural industries and our rural economy based on agriculture so that the acute problem of unemployment and underemployment in our rural areas may be fairly and effectively tackled. Therefore, the Planning Commission appointed a committee called the Rural Industries Planning Committee in April 2012. It was a very high power committee consisting of the deputy chairman of the Planning Commission and the ministers of Commerce and Industry and Community Development and the members of the Planning Commission dealing with agriculture and industries. The Rural Industries Planning Committee immediately set up a standing committee for the purpose of keeping continuous vigilance on the development of our rural industries and for the purpose of giving continuous guidance also to the Planning Commission for this purpose. This standing committee considered the entire approach to be adopted and they formulated a scheme for the projects for intensive development of village and small scale industries in the rural areas. I think it is a very remarkable study and survey of the entire problem, and I would, if the honorable members so desire, make these schemes of the Standing Committee of the Rural Industries Planning Committee available to them. It deals with the subject from the point of view of objectives. First of all, our objective is to build a viable rural economy in which not only agriculture and irrigation are to be developed, but along with that a whole set up of industrial complex based upon our agriculture, based upon our rural conditions would be developed. And they would be not merely of the stereotyped pattern of khadi and ambar charkha and so on, but of a diversified pattern for the purpose of producing a viable economy in the villages so that in vast parts of the country, even where agriculture is fairly efficient, where we have a large number of unemployed persons, agriculturists and also non-agriculturists could be given full-time employment. The whole objective is to produce this type of economy which will contribute towards solving this acute problem of unemployment. They selected 45 projects and allotted them to the various states, to all the 15 states, and each project covered 3 to 5 community development blocks with a population of roughly 3 to 5 lakhs, so that a fairly substantial population was immediately covered. And then they carried out a comprehensive and thorough survey of these pilot project areas, these 45 areas which covered 3 to 5 community development blocks with a population of 3 to 5 lakhs. These 45 pilot project areas were selected in such a way that somewhere these areas where agriculture was prosperous and yet there was a large population pressing on the soil which could not be employed either wholly or even partially. There were areas which were backward from the agricultural point of view where agriculture was difficult due to irrigation not being available and due to other factors where even agriculturists owning lands were not comfortable economically. There were the absolutely unfavorable areas climatically and otherwise which were backward and which had to be developed from every point of view, agriculture, industry and everything. They also selected areas from the tribal areas and other so-called backward areas. A thorough survey was undertaken of these 45 pilot project areas because it is no use trying to set up industries or even select the industries which are going to be set up in these areas unless we have a thorough survey of all the economic factors concerning each area selected. It will be appreciated immediately that each area selected will have its own problems, we have its own environments, will have its own complex of population, skilled and everything else which will make a particular selection necessary for that area, whereas it will be wholly inappropriate in other area. That is why a thorough survey was undertaken. I think Mr. T.N. Singh was the member of the Planning Commission when this was undertaken. They carried out a thorough survey of these areas and the survey continued until July 2013 when we had more or less a fair idea of the problems of these 45 pilot project areas, and then formulation of the program started about the beginning of 2014 after the survey was completed, because after the facts were ascertained the programs had to be finalized and that took further 3 to 4 months. The programs had been finalized in the beginning of 2014 and for the implementation of the programs selected for these 45 pilot areas, the Planning Commission has been providing funds. सोलह सौ 60 वर्ड थे, 1662 वर्ड हैं, डिवाइड बाई है 16.5। ये नेट 100 की स्पीड थी और जो है इसको टाइप करने के लिए मैंने 70 मिनट का समय दिया है। जिसने भी इसको लिखा है वो टाइप कर वहाँ पर जा कर के इसको टाइप कर सकता है। और जिससे जिसे नहीं ये जो हुआ है, ये आउटलाइन जो है इनकी आउटलाइन देख लेगा 179 180 की आउटलाइन देख लेंगे और जिनसे लिखा गया है तो इसको टाइप कर देंगे। इस क्लास में इतना ही बच्चों। नमस्कार बच्चों।